Hey, how's everyone doing today? Shout out to our guest on the show. We have Mahbod, co-founder of Rap Genius, Now Genius, Everpedia, and HellaDoge. And he's here to talk to us a little bit about what he's working on and essentially, what to keep an eye out for in the space. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yo, what is really good?
So, Mahbod, we've known each other for a little while now, through various different ventures in the tech space. Obviously, you've had some accomplishments yourself, been through some things. What's the deal right now? What are you currently working on?
I started HellaDoge about 6 months ago, and this is it. This is the big show for me. This is why I got into Bitcoin, is because I just want there to be digital money, and I think digital money can lead to data dividend, universal basic income. Basically, instead of Mark Zuckerberg getting all this money from us for free, he should give 80% of it back to us. And I think that could end poverty.
So how did the idea all come to fruition? Like from, Rap Genius, which is currently Genius today, to your other endeavors to HellaDoge. Like how did this, go from that to the where it is today?
So I was still at Genius when I started investing in Bitcoin. And I think the reason why I thought Bitcoin was going to do what we're trying to do with HellaDoge right now. And I felt like I really need that for Genius, because Genius is not just like you go on like Facebook and Twitter and write how you feel that day. Genius requires actual work. Putting down the meaning of the lyrics and then transcribing the lyrics is really, really hard. So when I was at Genius, I tried to start something called Cash Genius, which was basically certain members of the community, aside from just getting IQ points, can get $100 check at the end of the month if they do specific tasks, like put up the lyrics to a new album, something like that. And people in the community got really mad at me. The CEO got really mad at me. Cash Genius blew up in my face. And that's when the CEO of Genius was like, he told me about Mark Zuckerberg's philosophy, because originally Google wanted to pay people. Google, they still pay people on YouTube. That's the only Web 2 thing where you can make money. And they had Blogger. Like for a while, Blogger was letting people monetize their blogs. It never really took off, I don't think. But Mark Zuckerberg's big philosophy was if you pay people, especially you're paying them not that much, they think of it as work. And it's better for them to think of it as a game. So that's why Facebook doesn't pay you, but in some ways they do. But originally Facebook wasn't paying you, but they were trying to make it fun like a game. So that's what the CEO of Genius wanted to do with Genius. That's why we give points. We give points that are called IQ, but they're not worth anything. I even tried to make it so that we would give a free t-shirt, free Rap Genius t-shirt to anyone who got 100,000 IQ points. But Cash Genius had been such a flop, he thought that's a bad idea too. So I was really frustrated by this. I'm like, we're basically trying to get people to work for free. So Everpedia was my second company, and that's a Web3 company that basically has a lot in common with other Web3 projects that are out there, like Steemit. It's modeled off of Steemit pretty much, just using the Steemit model to give our tokens to people who make wiki pages. And I was frustrated by a lot of Web3 experiences, mainly I was frustrated that we're giving them our own shitcoin instead of giving them Bitcoin. I was frustrated that you need a MetaMask wallet, which nobody has, and it's really hard to set up. And I was frustrated that everything has to be on the blockchain. And a lot of times you would write a wiki page, you would click save, and it's your save was not recorded. It was not recorded on the blockchain. So, and then social media came out last year that has the same investors as Genius, Andreessen Horowitz, and it's called DeSo, Decentralized Social. So they do a lot of the same stuff as Everpedia. They're basically the Silicon Valley funded version of Steemit. They pay you with their own shitcoin called DeSo. And I was really a fan of Deso for a while because I'll take it. I'll take anything that's social media that pays you. But I tried to get Juicy J to sign up for Deso, and he said I wasn't able to sign up. So that's kind of where I drew the line. I'm like, I want a social media that pays you that's as easy to sign up as Instagram. So that's why I built HellaDoge.
Awesome. I guess like, what are some of the biggest learnings you've learned from like some of your failures today? Like, it seems like you've come up with some great ideas. They took off. They've gotten a lot of traction. Like what are some of the biggest? What are some like the roadblocks or adversity that you faced that you've learned from that really made you who you are today?
I've never had a company before where I'm the CEO, and we don't have titles at HellaDoge, but at least I've got a say in everything that's going on. Like at Genius and Everpedia, I think a lot of things went wrong because I wasn't in charge. Basically at Genius, the problem was that we weren't paying people. The CEO was too greedy to pay anyone. And at Everpedia, it was too complicated. The CEO wasn't willing to simplify things so that anyone could sign up. Like the one thing I was really begging for Everpedia was for people to be able to sign in with Facebook. So they didn't need a MetaMask wallet. And then we just keep track of their tokens until they're ready to cash out. And they finally built it, but it doesn't work. Like when you go to Everpedia and you try to sign in with Facebook, half the time, or like 3/4 of the time, you get a bug. Sometimes it works, but most of the time it's broken. Kind of like Deso. Deso is the same way. Technically, you don't need MetaMask to join Deso. But if you don't have a MetaMask, you might get Juicy J. Like Juicy J tried to sign up, he wasn't able to do it. It's not as easy as Instagram. You don't just go and put username, password, email. You need to jump through some hoops. Like they ask you to send them a picture of your passport and stuff like that.
And I think with Web3 in particular, with most of these platforms, the difference, I guess, between Web2 and Web3 is that you are signing in by connecting your wallet. Do you think, the roadblock to more mainstream adoption is the fact that the sign-in process, or I guess the usability, isn't as accessible to the everyday person who might not be like, blockchain focused, or someone who's in the space, or someone who's, using digital wallets like MetaMask to like hop on dexes and swap coins. I guess, there needs to be a more like non-tech savvy friendly way of getting people onto these platforms for mainstream adoption, it sounds like.
I'm not into wallets. That's just that's one unpopular opinion among crypto purists that I've had for a long, long time. For example, I'm probably the only crypto whale in the world who doesn't keep my crypto on a Trezor or a Ledger. Just because I know they say not your keys, not your coins, but it's like, I don't want to memorize 25 magic words. I don't want to lose all my stuff in a boating accident. So I think that the people who started crypto, just like the people who started the internet, there's a lot of like anarchist libertarians who are extreme. But if we want it to go mainstream so everyone can adopt it, we need to compromise. That's why I angel invested in Coinbase. I was an angel investor in Coinbase in 2014. A lot of crypto purists don't like Coinbase. And I'm not the 100% a fan. There's some politics that bother me. Like I don't like Silicon Valley involvement in crypto. That's like part of the reason I don't like Deso either. And Deso has the same investors as Coinbase.
Makes sense.
But what I like about Coinbase is at least, people in my family can use it. No one in my family would be able to use a Trezor or a Ledger. And I think a Coinbase vault is cold storage. So I think that it's actually safer than a lot of crypto purists think. So we're kind of trying to make the Coinbase of social media. One thing I really wanted to happen, so for a while, it seemed like Mark Zuckerberg's turning pro-crypto. And my dream was for Facebook to buy Coinbase. And basically, they just automatically give everyone who has Coinbase, everyone who has Facebook, a Coinbase wallet. That could have been transformational. But then they put him on the Senate seat and he got spanked. And ever since then, he hasn't been doing shit.
So I must say, being being a former Facebooker at the time, and being heavily invested in the crypto space and engaging in the community, exploring different projects. One thing I will say is that I wasn't surprised that some folks were kind of reluctant to be as accepting to of Facebook when it came to crypto, or at least decentralized projects that had something to do with privacy. Only due to the some of the like just recent PR cycles and data related things and things of those sorts. But then again, to play devil's advocate to that, because Facebook is a platform, or should I say Meta now, is a platform that has, half the planet using it, it could potentially push the mainstream adoption of like cryptocurrency or at least blockchain-based social media forward if it became decentralized, I guess. What are your thoughts there?
Even if just quasi decentralized, for me, there's basically two parts to blockchain stuff. There's the freedom of speech, and there's the get everyone money. I don't care as much about the freedom of speech stuff. In my experience, when you try to give people freedom of speech, your community becomes full of just hate speech and 4chan. So I'm not down with that. All I want is the money. And Mark Zuckerberg's not down to give the money. Like when he wanted to do Libra, Libra had nothing to do with giving people money. It seemed like it was to enable purchases. He was copying WeChat, making a Facebook stablecoin. That's absurd. He doesn't even need to make his own crypto. The whole thing of like setting up a Cayman entity so he could do his own crypto, that was crazy. All he needs to do, give 80% of the money you make off of people back to them in Bitcoin. And that's it. You're done. And another thing that bothers me about Web3, like Steemit and Everpedia, a lot of the crypto extremists think that Web3 is not going to require advertising. We're just going to live in a fantasy land, no capitalism, and we pay for our internet via inflation. And I think that's absurd. Like, on the one hand, I want to end poverty. I don't think anyone should be poor. But on the other hand, I'm someone who's a believer in the mechanism of capitalism. Like, I'm all about free markets. I've always been very, very big on advertising. Like when I was a kid, I would memorize television jingles, and I was obsessed with coupons. Like they would send the coupons in the mail. I would sort through all of them, see if there's any I can use.
My mom too.
Yeah, no. Well, if you think about it, coupons Web3 kind of like what taxi cabs are to Uber. Web3 can systematize the coupons because you like it because the brand isn't just wasting your, like on a TV commercial, they gave the producers of the TV money to waste your time. But on coupons, at least they're giving you money for your time. So I think that's what Web3 should be all about. And like, think about it, you see an ad on Instagram, you low-key kind of hate the person who's advertising because they wasted your time to get Mark Zuckerberg money. But I'm seeing it myself. We've already sold thousands of dollars of ads on HellaDoge in 6 months. And part of the reason why people are advertising so early is because the audience likes them. The audience, instead of being like, yo, screw you for sticking your ad in my face, they're like, thank you for giving me my Dogecoin.
That's definitely an interesting
perspective.
perspective.
How do you choose who gets to advertise on your platform? Is it like certain groups that have an interest in your company and they bring a certain value? Like, how do you decide whether a Coca-Cola versus a Uber or another big tech company gets to advertise on your platform? Is there like a certain mechanism? Just want to get some perspective from that.
So far, we've been pretty open. I don't want any scams. Like Instagram was advertising Vitalik.eth, which is an impersonator Vitalik account trying to run crypto scams. It's like, why would you guys do that ad? That's crazy. So we wouldn't do anything like that. But we've got like the first advertiser was undergroundseller.com. The CEO is someone I know from Y Combinator. And he's killing it. He just sells millions of wine. He said a lot of crypto people are his customers. So he decided to do a year of ads. I'm very eternally grateful to Underground Seller. We're very tight with freebitcoins.com, which was one of the first Web3 projects ever on the internet. Basically, you watch ads and you see Bitcoin. It's not so different from HellaDoge. So shouts out to him. One thing I require: no one can do an ad unless you have a profile on HellaDoge. And I don't think that rule is ever going to change. One thing that really pissed me off, one time I saw an Instagram ad for Tezos, which that's one of the cryptos I've had a bad feeling about since day one. So then I clicked on, I'm like, oh God, I got to see the Tezos Instagram page. So I clicked on the top left to go to their profile, and it took me to something. It's like, Tezos does not have an Instagram page. And it's like, yo, how about don't let them make an ad unless they make an Instagram page? So
I agree with that. I agree with that formula. I think that is a little sketchy. So now that you mentioned sketchy cryptos, give me a list of like your worst cryptos that you think that are ever come out, and your favorite that you think have come out so far.
I'm not a big believer. The only things I've invested in are Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like, I'm trying to sell my own coin. I'm trying to sell my IQ. I have just a little bit of Dogecoin. I bought some Dogecoin when HellaDoge launched, just kind of as a formality.
Okay.
But I never even tell people, I don't think of Dogecoin as something to invest in. I think Dogecoin is cash. You spend it. Bitcoin is gold. You buy it. And Ethereum is your checking account. You put money in there so it can grow. And those are basically the only three cryptocurrencies I think we need. Really, I think we only need Bitcoin, because I think Bitcoin could have done what Ethereum does with Lightning Network, and it can be used to do what Dogecoin is used to do. But the reason why the site's not HellaToshi, HellaSats, it's HellaDoge, is because we wanted Elon Musk to invest. And also because Dogecoin's kind of connected to memes. It kind of feels, the idea is to not make it feel like money, because of what Mark Zuckerberg said about making it feel like work is kind of true. The idea is to make it feel like video game points that are worth money. So it's still fun. So I think Dogecoin kind of serves that purpose. But then all of the other cryptos, sorry to be a hater, but I'm not a fan. The category that I've seen L after L is Ethereum killers or Ethereum level 2. I don't think anything's going to kill Ethereum, because Vitalik is like the CEO of crypto. And I don't think Ethereum needs a level 2, because they can just adapt and add any features the level 2 adds, just like Lightning was trying to do with Bitcoin.
Okay.
So EOS, they gave Everpedia $30 million. Shouts out to them, but they didn't become a Ethereum level 2. Tezos was a big L.
I mean, I think it still remains to be seen with some of these projects, wouldn't you think? I mean, I guess in the smart contracting space alone, like Avalanche, Solana, they've been, getting some buzz. I think with Solana in particular, because of its proof method, I think you sacrifice decentralization for their transaction speed in a bit. I guess that's the trade-off. But if they were able to be decentralized like Ether and have that transaction speed, low gas, I wouldn't be surprised if more people kind of funnel to that network. Especially with what's happening in the NFT space too. A lot of people are exploring the Solana network, and I wouldn't count them out just yet.
Solana, aside from being a wannabe Ethereum killer, breaks my other rule, which is it's Silicon Valley. Anything crypto that has Silicon Valley money, it's dirty laundry. Even Coinbase. With Coinbase, my excuse is that was back in the day. Also, they let me invest too, so I kind of took the hex off. Andreessen Horowitz, L after L. You remember Basis? Basis had to give $100 million back. And now the failed CEO of Basis is the guy who's trying to build Deso. And he doesn't even care about Deso. He was basically just trying to get a job. Princeton kid, got not even that long since he's graduated from college. Internet Computer, Definity, Total L, and now Solana. Solana has no transaction because it's not decentralized. You can have a fake crypto and it saves a lot of the stuff. Kind of like what we're trying to do with HellaDoge, except we're being honest.
Not decentralized.
We're being honest about being. Yeah, they're trying to do
only area of concern.
Magician hat tricks.
It's like one of the only areas of concern for me with Solana. You know, it's not centralized. Excuse me, decentralized. And the way they explain it is like, you know, it's the trade-off for some of the things like the transaction speed that they could provide, from my understanding. But, you know, who knows? You know, the thing they just launched, like Solana Pay, there's a few whales holding Solana. Like, you know, Chamath is talking about Solana when he has an opportunity to. I think with some of these projects, especially in the NFT space, launching on the Solana network, if one of them is just as big as, you know, like a CryptoPunk or Bored Ape, I think we'll see a lot more of Solana for sure. AVAX, you know, Avalanche, I think technology-wise might be even more impressive and be more of a threat to Ether. But, you know, I agree. I'm holding more Ether and Bitcoin than both. So I'm right there with you.
Nice.
So what's the evolution for HellaDoge? Do you think that eventually will transition to the metaverse or have a play in the metaverse at all? If that's even something on your radar?
Honestly, right now, I'm basically just trying to keep it super, super simple, because the whole idea was to be, people want HellaDoge NFTs because Deso is losing traction like crazy. So they're trying to change it from a social network into like ghetto NFT marketplace. And for me right now, that would just be way too complicated. I just want to just get everything simple working. And then we can look at some other stuff we can do as well. One thing that bothers me, by the way, with like these Silicon Valley investing in crypto stuff, I don't want crypto companies to be worth that much money, because they're middlemen. The whole point of crypto is to get rid of middlemen. So when I hear that OpenSea is raising money at a $5 billion valuation, it's like, yo, these $5 billion, you stole them from the artists. Why not just make it so that you're charging the artist less and make it so that your valuation is just $1 billion?
But they do allow the artists to set their own royalty.
They're doing something wrong if they're worth that much money, and if they've got these shady fools investing to make them worth even more money. I don't even want HellaDoge to be worth that much money. Like, the only funding we're doing is crowdfunding, and the crowdfunding is at 18 million, and I basically want these investors to 100x. So I would never want to be worth that much money. Like, the math I'm doing, let's say, you know, it dropped a lot, but when we started, Facebook was worth $1 trillion. If we can become 1% of Facebook, that's $10 billion. And then if we give 80% of that money to the users, that's $2 billion. That's like the most I think a crypto company should be worth. And then we're never going to have a huge office with a bunch of people making full-time six-figure salaries. That's another thing that made me angry at Genius. Like, at Genius, I wanted to do Cash Genius. I wanted to give the community people a chance to get $100 a month. The CEO told me, no, you can't do that. But if you want, you can pick one of the community people, tell them to move to New York City, and we'll pay them $50K a year to come work in the office full time. I didn't want to do it, but I had no choice. He's saying this is the only thing I can do. So I hired a couple community people. They, you know, moved to NYC, found an apartment. Suddenly we're paying them a ton of money. They stopped working on the site. Like, as soon as we hire them full time, they stop doing any actual work. They start only doing busy work, like taking notes for their one-on-one meeting and BS like that. And then after a year, they end up getting fired. So that's one thing that's always bothered me about the internet. Like, I meet so many people who work at Facebook, Twitter, and I use their product more than they do, because for them it's work. They're like, oh, that's the place I work. Like, I don't want to go on Twitter. That's my job. And then they've got all these people who live on their platform who aren't getting paid. And also the offices. Genius, right when I left, the CEO of Genius forced us to move into a big fancy office, $40K a month. And I think that's a big reason why Genius basically got scrapped this year. It got sold for less money than we've raised. So it's basically worthless. And I think part of the reason why the CEO had to do that was to get out of the $40K a month office lease for an office he's not even using because of COVID.
So you'd say you were a big advocate of the kind of remote life, remote structure, kind of what I guess kind of what we're seeing is happening right now in the industry. You know, to stay competitive, at least in tech, if you're not offering some type of remote structure, you know.
COVID was a great blessing for me. Sorry if people think of it. I think it's a great blessing for humanity because commutes, aside from the death that's caused in car accidents and stuff, it's a huge time suck. Both of my companies, I left the company right when we moved into a full-time office because I'm just not about that life. I'm about doing my work, being with my online community.
Hitting the beach.
And also
Zoom from the beach. I'm about that life too.
About COVID is that it made crypto, it kind of shoved crypto back into the mainstream because people were looking for somewhere to invest. So I think it can be very, very good progress for humanity. At first I was mad because they shut down the gym. But then about 6 months...
I was mad too. I was definitely mad.
Then I got all my own exercise stuff. Like my room right now, it's full of just my exercise stuff. So
I know you were talking about investing. So like, how can someone invest in your company? Are you on like apps like Republic, which does like crowdfunding? Like, you know, how can someone invest in your company?
We're on WeFunder. And right now we're trying to raise $1 million on WeFunder. 500,000 is the crucial amount because that's how much we need to open a Coinbase account. Coinbase business. But we're making a lot of money just from the ads. We've already made thousands of dollars and it's growing. But we like, part of the reason we don't need any money. It's not like we need to hire anybody. Zishan, my co-founder, is doing all the coding and I'm doing all the community and biz dev stuff.
So why WeFounder as a platform? And
so there was one VC who we were talking to who was interested in investing, who wanted us to make a utility token. And like the whole point is I don't want a shit coin. I want to give people a ubiquitous known coin like Bitcoin or Dogecoin. And he was like, yeah, but you need to give people a way to be able to rise and fall with the fortunes of HellaDoge, like giving them something like your equity. So we're not giving that away, but that's the reason we have WeFunder. If any of the users just want a piece of HellaDoge to follow the fortunes, then they can invest in WeFunder. Technically, I suppose they could even get Dogecoin from the site and then use that to invest in WeFunder. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
A lot of fundraising for me is about alliances. Like, to be perfectly honest, I didn't need any money for Genius or Everpedia either. You only need money if the founders aren't doing the software development, which is a big no-no. For me, that's a recipe for failure. Like before HellaDoge, for like a month, I was trying to work with Ozone, which is kind of like freebitcoins.com. They just basically want to give you money to look at ads.
Okay.
And Ozone had gotten $2 million from Jason Calacanis pre-launch. He basically just liked the CEO. So he's like, here's $2 million. And the CEO of Ozone spent $1 million of that $2 million trying to get people in Eastern Europe to build Ozone. Total failure, waste of $1 million. I've seen that so many times. I see non-technical people raise money. They think, oh, I can go spend money in Eastern Europe and get this made. Total flop, waste of money. And then the other $1 million, he finally tried to start finding an actual legit developer, but it seems like it's too late. So that's why I bounced from there. I've never had a good experience working where the leader is not technical. And it's funny, though, because HellaDoge, I'm saying it's good because I feel like the leader, but I'm not technical. But that's why, even at HellaDoge, I would never, Zishan's the one who gets the final call. He's the one who's building it, so it's all his call. But at least Zishan's not going to do some crazy-ass stuff like buying genius.com for $3 million bucks. Stupidest thing I've ever seen anybody.
Wait, like the domain?
Yeah, that the CEO of Genius, brilliant guy. He spent $3 million bucks to buy genius.com, which was the stupidest shit of all time. People still call it rap genius. And it never even expanded beyond anything past rap. No one ever goes on the site even to look at other genres of lyrics. So I wanted to make separate websites. We even bought the URLs. I wanted to make rapgenius.com, rockgenius.com, poetrygenius.com, and biblegenius.com. And I wanted the people in each of these communities to not even know the other communities exist, because you need to make each of these communities feel like a vibe. And the only vibe that Genius has is the one that I built with Rap Genius. So they fake changed the name from Rap Genius to Genius, but it's still Rap Genius. It's just now it's a watered down version of it. We spent $3 million to water down our brand and not add anything positive.
So what would you say to someone who had a concept, right, and they were looking to raise money? In today's day and age, there's a lot of different things happening, right? We've got things going on with NFT collections, people building out DAOs, all of these alternative ways, platforms like Republic that allow you to put your company on their platform and get access to regular people as if they were VCs. What would you say were the must do things, like the top 3 steps you must do as someone looking for investment who is like branching out? They have a product, right, and they're just looking for investment so that they can maybe scale, they can maybe hire, they can maybe do more development. What are the top 3 things that person must do to successfully acquire investment?
I think first you got to scale. I wouldn't ever go hunting for investments until I have traction. I've never done it before. Genius already had 1 million uniques a month before we got into Y Combinator. And with HellaDoge, we're getting close to that number too. So 1 million for me is a magic number, especially with consumer internet. Another good one is making money, how much money you've made. In some ways, it's not a good idea to start looking for investment until you've made, let's say, 20K in revenue, 10K, at least something. That was another thing that bothered me about Genius was the CEO, because he's kind of anarcho-libertarian. He hates ads. So he wouldn't let us just run ads. And it ended up being a disaster. Like, Lyric Find wanted us to run ads, and they're like, listen, instead of paying us for the lyrics, just run ads and give us a cut from the ads. And I'm like, let's do this. That way we can get paid and we don't have to worry about getting sued. He's like, no, we can't have ads. So then we got sued by the music publishers, and we ended up getting into a really messed up deal. I think we're getting a shadier deal than Lyric Find. So we could have just bought the lyrics rights from Lyric Find, but the CEO wouldn't listen. That's what Google does. Like now, Google steals the lyrics from Genius, but they have them licensed from Lyric Find, and then we're trying to sue them for stealing it from us, but the case didn't go anywhere. That's another reason why we had to basically give Genius up, is because the lawsuit against Google didn't go anywhere.
So how do you know when you have a good idea? Like, how do you know? I mean, not everyone is going to have traction or have X amount of unique visits to their website, but how do you know when you have like a valuable idea or concept?
You need the traction. You need people to be using it, I think. So but until that happens, it's impossible to know.
That's fair.
There's 2 kinds of people. There's people who like it, and there's people who are obsessed. And a person who's obsessed is probably worth 1,000 people who like it. So you have to keep that in mind too. So you either need a lot of people who like it, or you need a few people who are obsessed. And with Genius, with HellaDoge, We've got a good number of people who like it, and we've also got a few people who are obsessed.
So, as an investor yourself, right? Like you mentioned, you were an angel investor in Coinbase. What were like 2 or 3 of the things about Coinbase that made you say, okay, I've got to give these guys my money?
I met Coinbase was in Y Combinator the year after I was. So it was actually my first alumni demo day. And I went there. I started talking to Brian Armstrong. At that point, he was not famous at all. They were just a company in Y Combinator. And he told me Bitcoin. I'd heard the word Bitcoin before, but I thought it was just for video games. I thought it was just a part of video games. So he's like, no, with Bitcoin, we want it to replace normal money. We think that it can be like internet money. So that's when we connected. I didn't invest. I wasn't that early of an investor. I invested in 2014. The other big step was I had a conversation with Balaji. And Balaji told me to buy Bitcoin. It was pretty funny. That's when I was still with Genius. This was 2013. It was like a month after I had brain surgery. And Balaji, because Nas had invested in Genius. So Balaji came to the Genius office and he said, Peter Thiel wants Nas to make a diss track about Gawker. Can you convince Nas to make a diss track about Gawker? And I was like, I don't think Nas is going to be all about that. But he was like, by the way, buy Bitcoin. You need to buy Bitcoin. So I was like, okay, I can listen to that part of what you're saying. So that's when I started investing in Bitcoin. And I was at the time. So then I left Genius, got into some drama. I resigned from Genius. And in the first few months after I resigned from Genius, I was an opinion columnist for the New York Observer. So I wrote an article for the New York Observer about Balaji telling me to buy Bitcoin, called Bitcoin is the Truth. And it did pretty well. It made the rounds on Twitter and stuff. So that's why they invited me to be an angel investor in Coinbase.
That's pretty cool. Since we know we're talking a little bit about the past, I did see that you had a JD. So what made you go to law route to go to an entrepreneur route? So like, how did that transition happen?
Yeah, I was never even really that into internet. Like I didn't even, when I was in law school, I was probably the only person who didn't have a laptop. I would just use the computer clusters. But I got my first job as an attorney right when the 2008 meltdown happened. So they were trying to give people, a lot of law firms were doing this. They would give you 1/3 of your salary to just leave the firm and go try to find something else to do in life. So I missed California. I was working at a firm in NYC. I kind of wanted to go back to California. So I told them I want to go do legal research at Stanford Law with some of my old professors. But really, I just missed the Stanford gym. So I went back in Palo Alto. That's when I started working on Genius. And at first, it was just an art project. It was just for fun. The CEO of Genius, who I'm complaining about, he was just tinkering. He was making a bunch of websites overnight. Like he made one called bombsheets.com, where you can buy bed sheets that are the bomb.
I like that.
Yeah, so we launched Rap Exegesis. That was the original name, but we had to change it because no one knows how to spell exegesis.
It sounds complicated.
Yeah, the lead singer of Vampire Weekend, this was the first time we ever got a shout out in an interview. The lead singer of Vampire Weekend was like, yeah, Rap Exegesis, such a cool site. I can't believe they changed the name to Rap Genius. Like, I'm always going to call it Rap Exegesis.
That's funny.
Awesome. So, I mean, man, there's got to be at least one more alternative coin. We've got to probe here. Like, if there's just so much happening in the crypto space, if you could not buy any more Bitcoin or Ethereum. Like there was a cap, a limitation put on how much you can buy. Like what would be the next, like, all right, if I have to, like I'll buy this coin, I'll invest in this project.
We were talking about BAT. Like personally, I can't stand BAT. It's breaking all my rules. It's got an old SV guy as the leader of it. Really, really hard to sign up. They pay you in their shit coin. But at least it has traction. I think BAT is pretty much the only Web3 that even has any traction. BAT and Steemit. Steemit has traction for all the wrong reasons. So at least BAT has like some legit traction. I still think it's a hella flawed product. My dream, if someday Dogecoin blows up, I also want to make a Doge browser where you get Dogecoin for using our browser. But if I had to pick one, at least they have traction. At least they're not saying, oh, we're going to launch our mainnet in 3 years.
Yeah, I see that a lot. Honestly, that your point with traction there, that's something that at first I was reluctant to, throw some money into ADA because I felt like they were making a lot of promises and hadn't done anything just yet. Like just got on the testnet recently kind of thing. And I felt like most of the hype was the fact that it was coming from a co-founder of Ethereum. I've recently, changed my views on that have changed a bit, but in regards to Basic Attention Token too, I think their early success was because like the founding team, the creators had such a substantial background in technology already. The JavaScript guy, Mozilla guy being behind the project as a whole. But a Dogecoin browser, I think, would be awesome. The whole pay me to use the internet initiative with Web3 as a whole is really dope. I just think that the area that most people are forgetting about is privacy. And I think that's something that is being sacrificed, and there isn't a lot of projects. Like I know there's like Secret Network and stuff like that, but there isn't a lot of projects exploring privacy. And I think it's a very undervalued sector. I mean, with HellaDoge, is there anything in particular when it comes to privacy that you guys kept in mind when building that out for the users and things of those sorts?
Well, so right now, one thing that we're witnessing on social media is the Apple's making people opt in, and apparently it cost Facebook $10 billion. And at first I was happy about this. I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop getting all these nootropic ads or like ads for condos. But now all the ads I get are just like Taco Bell and Pepsi and stuff. I'm not sure. I'm kind of like, yo, low key, bring the condo. And what if I were getting paid? Imagine if Facebook told me, hey, imagine Facebook's paying me and they say, hey, we'll pay you triple if you opt in with the privacy thing. They didn't even have to make it an ongoing thing. All they really had to do, tell people, hey, opt into the privacy thing and we give you a $10 Amazon gift card. Boom, 100% opt in. Instead, they're saying 40% of people opted in. I think even that they're exaggerating. My guess is probably like 10% of people opted in.
So what are some of the, I guess, in 2022, moving forward, what's the top of mind goal for HellaDoge? Is there like number of users we need to hit, number of advertisers? Like what needs to happen in 2022 for HellaDoge to take that next step?
Growth. It's all about growth. All that matters right now, our Alexa rank is just under top 200K and then just under top 40K in the US. So
that's 40K websites?
Yeah. So I need those to grow to like top 20K total, top 2K in the US. Like one big psychological thing is when we get more traffic than BitClout or Deso, the Silicon Valley competitor. And they are sinking. They're losing. They raised $200 million from Sequoia and Andreessen Horowitz. And every single day, right after I check HellaDoge's Alexa, I check theirs. They are sinking. They're falling really, really fast. So hopefully we can catch up. Steemit's blowing up right now just because crypto's hot again. And Steemit is not, I guess it's not as hard to sign up as Desa. But they have low quality traffic. A lot of the traffic is just bots and fake users and stuff. So
So
also
what
the
can
quality.
so what can someone expect when they visit HellaDoge, or they're new to this? Like what can someone what can you share to let someone know why you want to come on your site?
It's a lot of laughs. It's a lot of fun. The top two I check are HellaDoge and Instagram. And it's just because they make me laugh. A lot of the community is meme based, and people are having a lot of fun. We've had to ban very few people so far. Considering, so one reason why we have so much traffic is because we're building it on the Mastodon API, and the Mastodon API has you federated with other Mastodon sites. And a lot of the other Mastodon sites are like 4chan type shit, because Donald Trump was supposed to build Truth Social on Mastodon. So we're like those users, we're still welcoming to them, but we make it very, very clear, yo, this is not a free speech zone. This is more about giving you the money, but our community guidelines are the same as Instagram's community guidelines. The only difference is Instagram bans people for jokes. We're going to try really, really hard not to ban people for jokes. We're going to try to use more personalized content moderation. That's one of the dramas that's going on on Instagram. I'm really tight with a lot of the people in the Instagram meme community. Huge community. I think half of Instagram's traffic is these memes. And Mark Zuckerberg never talks about it because he's abusing the content creators. They get zucked. That's what they call it when your account gets deleted for making jokes that were misinterpreted. And then trolls are always reporting the meme accounts for violations.
So I want to unpack that a bit, right? So you mentioned freedom of speech, and I guess in regards to an application, whether it's HellaDoge or Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, right? Is it their place to dictate, whether or not someone or a user on their platform has freedom of speech? Is freedom of speech the word or the words we're looking for when it comes to making sure that users are respecting other users on the platform? I feel like there's always going to be someone upset, you know what I mean? But I think because of that, it doesn't mean that they're in this space you can't have freedom of speech per se. And I feel like that's not necessarily what you mean, but it might have just been the terminology you used.
I think that you need these community guidelines to get ads, because I think the big box advertisers tell you, sorry, otherwise we can't do it. Also, when I go to freedom of speech platforms, for a while Vote was hot, or the few times in my life where I've visited the armpit that is 4chan, it's just not a good vibe. But content moderation is very important. One way to look at social media is that it's kind of the same as media. HellaDoge has these users that are we're kind of the same as Forbes. We have these users which are our authors, and then content moderators are the editors. But then Facebook doesn't respect the content moderation. A lot of the content moderation is outsourced to countries where they can pay $5 an hour. And in a sense, these are the most important workers. And it's just because Mark Zuckerberg doesn't get it. Mark Zuckerberg, he's a smart guy and all, but he's not charismatic. He's not social. He doesn't have a lot of friends. He doesn't tell a lot of jokes. So he really just doesn't get what it's about to be. Also, there's the Section 230 issue, which Durgan brought up. They kind of don't want to admit that they're publishers, but low-key they are. Social media, in my mind, is not so different from traditional media. So also another thing is, so they think that it needs to be scalable. They think that their moderation needs to be scalable. That's why they need someone getting paid $5 an hour to do it. There aren't that many content creators on the internet. Everyone's always talking about scalability. The CEO of Genius would always say this too. But the people who are actually writing the stuff, there's not that many. For every 1,000 people who are reading, there's maybe one person writing. For example, Wikipedia is one of the top 5 sites in the world, and some people estimate that it only has 10,000 active editors. So if Mark Zuckerberg were a charismatic guy, he could be on a first-name basis with a lot of his content creators. Instead, he's probably not tight with any of them. Like, HellaDoge already has a couple hundred content creators. I really know all about all of them. Like I'm Instagram friends with all of them. I know what they're like. I know what the deal is. So
I mean, that's awesome. And I know we're coming up because I think we have a hard stop at 6. But I know that you're an angel investor. Like, what are the challenges of being an angel investor? I feel like I sometimes invest or do things based on emotions. That may not be the best approach for someone who wants to be an angel investor. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Can you say the question again?
So what is really important to be a good angel investor? Like, I invest in things based on emotions or like my feeling. Like, how do you make the right decision?
I haven't angel invested in a long time, but when I was doing it, it was just anything I could add value to. That's kind of my investment philosophy, not just with angel. Like, for example, I was a big investor in Facebook stock. I bought a lot of Facebook stock. It was my main holding ever since they gave me a blue check mark. I was like, shouts out to Zuck for giving me a blue check mark. Also, I spend all my time on this platform. So let me make it so that I'm owning my own time. But then now I'm starting a competitor to Facebook, so I sold all my stock. And that has kind of made me not want to post on Facebook and Instagram as much anymore. So for me, life's not about making money. Life's about having a purpose and having fun. So I like to invest in things that I think I can add value, and I think it's fun to add value.
And that's from an investment or an angel investor perspective, not from the perspective of someone who's trying to change their situation financially. Just, I just wanted to make sure I provided that context that, like, there are, I guess, various different levels, and someone trying to change their situation financially, absolutely don't base your investment off emotions. It's like, don't do that. Recipe to blow your accounts, lose all your money, strictly research.
Yeah,
but angel investing could be different.
How much money does anyone need? Like, I think we all overestimate. There's not a lot of money someone needs. So I think it's possible to gamble with investments. You shouldn't do it based on your emotions. I'm saying you do it based on things that you can add value to so that you're involved in it. And if you win, great. If you lose, like right now I'm trying to buy a car. It's crazy. You can get a car for $10,000. You can get a car for $200,000. And it's pretty much the exact same thing. So just invest in things that you love. And if you ball out, get the fancy car. If you don't ball out, get the cheap car, because they're both the same shit. It's just for fun anyways.
Can't
so
take
that's
it
why
with
I
you.
don't believe in index. I'm sorry?
Can't take it with you.
Yeah. And also it's just all about
Unless it's a Tesla truck.
Unless it's the Cybertruck. I can't wait for that. Yep, that's right. Knows me well.
Tesla's honestly the only stock I own where I can't even add a lot of value to it. All I do, I'm always telling people that they should buy a Tesla. But then I still don't have a Tesla. I was thinking about getting one, but A, I don't want to spend that much money right now. And B, I'm too lazy to learn how to do the electric charging. So I'm still looking for it to become more mainstream.
I think it's as simple as a plug, but just like I'd argue that it might be more complex to fill up a gas tank than to charge an electric car right now. The only thing is there's more gas station than electric car charging ports. It's the only problem.
Yeah, but every Whole Foods has electric car charging. So I'm good. I can go refuel my body and it refuels my car. But
amazing.
I don't know. I think for me, it's still a lot of it is also the money. Like, I'm not trying to make any baller ass purchases until crypto goes up more, because I'm not trying to sell any of my investments. But I like Elon so much. I had to buy his thing, even though I can't really add value. And that's why we built HellaDoge. Another reason why we built it. One reason why we chose Dogecoin. We heard Donald Trump's whack ass is trying to build his own social media. So we thought HellaDoge can be Elon Musk's social media. People even on Twitter every day, people are like, "Poll, do you think Elon Musk should make his own social network?" And everyone's like, "Yeah." And he can't make his own social network. He's too busy launching rockets and stuff. So once HellaDoge blows up, we're just going to be like, "Yo, Elon Musk, give me $1 billion. We built this for you. We can end poverty using Dogecoin."
And
I like that idea. I like that.
I definitely respect the mission and the goal of ending poverty, making a positive impact on that, giving 80% back to the users on your platform. It's definitely awesome, and hopefully our listeners are enticed to take a look and give HellaDoge a shot. But just in regards to your level of focus, like, just to wrap up, when you're working on, these various different initiatives, when you're researching potential startup companies to invest in, when you're trying to improve the experience for users on the HellaDoge platform, like, how do you stay focused, stay on track? How do you block out the noise and make sure you're not getting caught up in, any media drama, any hate, or nothing like that? Like, what's the method to the madness there?
I'm all about using my own product. One thing that really frustrates me about founders, especially Silicon Valley types, a lot of them don't use their own product. Like on Genius, my co-founders would never break down any lyrics because they didn't even like rap. So I always thought that was frustrating. I'm always on there. Like when I was a big fan of Deso, it would really piss me off that the CEO of Deso tweets more than he Desos or whatever, more than he posts on Deso. He's obsessed with Twitter. He's always on Twitter like, "Yo, check it out. I'm trying to build crypto Twitter." It's like, bro, how about instead of bragging about your crypto Twitter on the non-crypto Twitter, go use your own crypto Twitter?
But in your particular case, with, I guess, other initiatives and other companies aside, and how they do things, like, I guess when you're faced with adversity, right, and you're focused on HellaDoge, we got to launch in 3 months, you got to take this to the next level, and you hit roadblocks and unforeseen things come about. Like, how do you reel yourself back on track and block out all that noise?
Well, I mean, to some extent, there's only so much I can do. Like I wasn't able to build HellaDoge. Eric and Zishan. Eric is who started, and then Zishan is who's running it now. So I kind of have to depend on the kindness of strangers, to quote the Great Gatsby. It is frustrating. I mean, sometimes I wish that I were a developer myself, but that's just not who I am. But I'm always just about using the product. Like, one thing to keep in mind is I'm just looking for a place. I have all of this content that I just want to share with the world. Like, one of the reasons I got into the internet, in college, I tried to become a writer for all the campus publications, and I get rejected a lot. Like, I would write a piece and they're like, "We don't want to publish this. It has too many jokes. You use too many bad words." So I got kind of fed up with that. And then when Facebook came out, I'm like, finally, it's like I have my own magazine. So I just started writing stuff, going nuts. I was one of the first people on Facebook who was posting every single day, back when it was only Ivy League schools. And people would get mad at me. People would be like, "You're clogging up my feed," whatever. I'm like, yo, I'm just doing what I need to do. I need to release my content. I'm very grateful to have HellaDoge. It's cool that right now, like, sometimes I don't even want it to grow, because right now it's right at that sweet spot where everyone who's using it is smart.
I know what you mean.
And we're all tight.
I enjoy scrolling down the HellaDoge feed. there's always
Facebook, when it was in Ivy League schools for a while, it was the bomb. Like everything people were writing was hilarious. And I remember when they opened it up to every university, a lot of people were like making like, "Stop Mark Zuckerberg, he's gonna ruin Facebook."
the community on HellaDoge right now is pretty awesome. Very welcoming, and there isn't a day that I don't see a hilarious meme on there. So if you're into that, or you've got more to share, give me a follow on HellaDoge, Mahbod as well. But this is Synonyms of Sound. Shout out to everyone for tuning in. Mahbod, shout out to you for tuning in as well, and just sharing your insight and your journey so far. And cannot wait to see the growth and how HellaDoge scales and how much I can accrue being on the platform.
Yeah, we appreciate your vibrations and your insights and thoughts and sharing that with us too, man.
Dervin's one of the all-stars on HellaDoge. Early user, the fire memes. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But you enjoy the rest of your night, Mahbod, and we'll definitely be seeing you around.
All right, man. Have a good one, guys.
Peace.
Peace.